Kaiju fiction has been popular in Japan as well as in the West. We see this with Godzilla, Pacific Rim, and several anime, with the term kaiju being used to refer to monsters from Japanese fantasy and folklore. While the kaiju have always been present in many anime, we've gotten more shows with gigantic monsters at the forefront since the 2010s. Think Attack on Titan, Chainsaw Man, and of course, Kaiju number 8. The manga has been written by Naoya Matsumoto, and it's been quite popular with manga readers. With such popularity comes a high-budget anime adaptation, and Kaiju number 8 has finally knocked on our doors, ready to grace Crunchyroll and send us into binge-watching modes. While we already know of the anime's release for the past few months, the final trailer has dropped recently, giving us enough content to break the video down and explain what exactly is going on. We will not be referring to any manga spoilers, and instead break down the information that we have acquired from the trailer videos. Based on that, we will pull up comparisons and inspirations and try to get down to what the story is planning to do. What is the world of Kaiju number 8 all about? The setting is kind of similar to that of cyberpunk anime in the sense that it is dystopian and more grounded in our technological reality instead of a fantastical world of magic. However, a difference lies in the fact that the technology we see is not super futuristic like the Cybele system in Psycho-Pass or the cyborgs in Ghost in the Shell. Obviously, we will see weaponry and mechanisms that do not exist in our world, but so far it does not seem to be as incomprehensible as a gun that can check whether you have the potential to be a criminal and kill or paralyze you based on how dangerous you are or may be to society. The metropolitan city of Tokyo seems to face threats from huge monsters or kaiju, kind of like in Pacific Rim. These kaijus can attack on land or appear from water canals, but in any situation they cause large-scale destruction across the city. The kaiju we have seen so far look reptilian, like Godzilla. Due to the scale of the threat, there is a patrol or a defense force that fights kaiju and slays them. While the fighters enjoy the fame, there exists a faction within the defense force that works behind the scenes and cleans up the carcasses of the defeated creatures. This is the non-glamorous side of the profession. The show is one of many new-gen shonen that seem to take inspiration from Tite Kubo Bleach, much like Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man. Although the story is not similar, it's not surprising to see a kaiju that has a face similar to that of a Hollow's mask because of how inspiration Bleach has been to the new-gen manga. With respect to its resemblance to Godzilla, Kaiju number 8 is set up for a different type of storyline compared to the former. This will become evident as we get further into the video. Who are the protagonists and part of the main cast in Kaiju number 8? The trailer shows us two kids, namely Kafka Hibino and Mina Ashiro, not to be confused with Mina Ashido from My Hero Academia, who promise one another that they will join the Kaiju defense force and wipe out the Kaiju. It seems like they've lost loved ones to the threat, which motivates them towards their goal. However, the story takes place by the time the both of them are fully grown adults. Between the two of them, Kafka Hibino is the protagonist, while Mina Ashiro has become a respectable and popular captain in the Kaiju Defense Force. Ashiro works at the cleanup squad cleaning the carcass of the slain Kaiju. He still harbors his dream of being part of the Defense Force, but he claims to be too old to continue dreaming, which lets us know that he is far from being a guy in his late teens or early 20s. However, Kafka says that he will become a Defense Force member again, which means that he was once a part of it, but then joined the cleanup squad. We don't get to learn why he left the front lines. Other than that, we see several other characters like Rino Ichikawa, who is close to Kafka and refers to him as his senpai. He eagerly wants to side with Kafka and back him up, which tells us that Rino might be one of the carcass sweepers aiming to fight the Kaiju. That's Kikoru Shinomiya, whose hobby is to kill Kaiju. She has a cutthroat personality that complements her hobby. Then there's Toshiro Hoshina, who comes off as someone more cold. He reminds us of the super competent quiet guy who gets the job done trope, which the likes of Levi Ackerman fit into. So far, it has been hard to put a pin on Mina's character since we barely see her adult version get dialogues. However, she does seem pretty cool, especially when she jumps down from the helicopter. We get a closer look into Kafka's personality, who struggles with having given up on his dream in his older age. However, he has tenacity and falls into a situation where he absolutely does not want to give up, especially because he is unsatisfied with his current job. He also wants to persevere and stand by Mina's side. Why is the series called Kaiju number 8? As the protagonist who dreams of becoming part of the Defense Force again and fight the Kaiju, it is a given that early into the story, Kafka will achieve this while following episodes will revolve around his experiences. However, some newer shonen have followed this pattern where the protagonist gets the powers of the very thing he has to fight. Eren wants to fight titans and then he becomes a titan. Denji becomes a devil-human hybrid in a world run amok by devils. There's also a pattern where the characters eat something to gain their powers. Itadori eats Sukuna's finger, Midoriya eats a strand of All Might's hair, Eren eats his father, and so on and so forth. Kafka Hibino goes through something very similar but on a very average day. While lying on his bed and desiring to join the defense force again, he sees a winged insect-like kaiju in front of him. Before it can react, a parasitic kaiju flies inside his mouth and gets consumed by Kafka, which results in Kafka becoming a human kaiju hybrid and gaining supernatural abilities. His face in his newly acquired form resembles that of a hollow from Bleach, which allows us to draw a parallel between both shows. Because he becomes part kaiju, it is given that he will be used to fight kaiju by the defense force, and in the process he will get to live out his dream. Now, we don't know why the series is called Kaiju number 8, but it is not hard to guess that he refers to Kafka himself. This means that kaiju can be created and the protagonist may not be the first and the only human kaiju hybrid. Kaiju number 8 is akin to a code name Kafka requires in the defense force. As part of it, he meets the rest of the cast such as Shinomiya and Hoshina as they become colleagues. Obviously, the line of work is dangerous. He does fight in his human form using weapons similar to his peers, but Kafka gets an edge when he is in his kaiju form. What is interesting here is his name, which directly refers to Kafka's metamorphosis, where protagonist Gregor Samsa becomes an insect. The most popular image of the novella shows us a human-sized insect lying on his bed. Similar to Gregor, Kafka Hibino is shown lying on his bed with a kaiju that looks like an insect entering his body via his mouth, which reminds us of another anime called Parasite, where an alien species raided upon Earth one day and took over human minds by infiltrating into their cerebral systems via the openings in their bodies. What can you expect from Kaiju number 8? When is it coming out? While the manga has been out since July 2020, the anime is set to release sometime during April 2024. We expect an action-packed shonen with lots of fights, fantastic animation, and the faster pacing of new-gen anime. The reins of production are held by Production IG and Toho Animation, who have previously worked on shows like Psycho Pass, Aoharu Ride, Kimi no Todoke, and Ghost in the Shell. Many fans have compared the show to Attack on Titan, and while we do see the similarities with beastly creatures attacking a city and the protagonist gaining his powers by consumption, the world of Kaiju number 8 is seemingly set in our very universe, with Tokyo being at the eye of the storm. Down the line, it is possible that we'll learn about the Kaiju having been humans or something of that sort. We also expect a fair amount of character-driven drama, especially with Kafka wanting to fight side by side with Mina. Production IG has also worked on popularly loved shoujo manga, which tend to be heavily character-driven, so it would not be unnatural for Kaiju number 8 to have that in plenty. However, as per the trailers, no romance has been hinted between the two. Kafka will be voiced by Masaya Fukunishi, who has voiced Draken in Tokyo Revengers, and Gary in Baki Hanma. The cast is joined by Asami Seto, who is voicing Mina Ashiro. She has previously voiced super popular characters such as Kugisaki Nobara from Jujutsu Kaisen and Mai Sakurajima from Bunny Girl Senpai. Rino Ichikawa will be voiced by Wataru Kato, who has voiced Rentaro Aiju from the 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You. Fairuz Ali, who voices Power in Chainsaw Man, and Kengo Kawanishi, who voices the Mist Hashira from Demon Slayer, are lending their voices to Shinomiya and Hoshina respectively. With such heavyweight voice actors being part of the main cast, it is evident that Kaiju number 8 has been set up for success. Marvel's verdict. It's not hard to tell that this anime is going to be fantastic, with fans of the manga having nothing but praise for it and the trailer giving us a sneak peek into the fantastic soundtrack and animation. Kaiju number 8 deserves to be on everyone's watch lists. Other than that, we will continue to keep everyone updated on the show, so do follow Marvelous Anime if you want to be a part of the community. Do share your views about the show with us in the comments, and don't forget to like the video. Till then, goodbye and have a great day.